Westbrook High buzzed with the usual chaotic energy of teenagers, but beneath the laughter lay a quiet undercurrent of fear. Into this world came Naomi Harris, the new chemistry teacher. She carried herself with a stillness that unsettled the students. She was polite but firm, her eyes missing nothing. Whispers followed her. She's ex-military. They were right, but she'd come here for peace, to leave her past behind. She quickly noticed a pattern. The way students flinched at the name Dylan Ross. The rich kid, the untouchable. His family's name was on the donation plaques. His influence was a shield no teacher dared challenge. They all looked the other way. But Naomi didn't. Dylan tested her immediately. A mocking comment during a lesson. A deliberately spilled beaker. A constant, challenging smirk. Naomi's composure never broke. She watched him not with anger, but with the calm analysis of a strategist. She saw his weakness, his ego. The spark came on a Thursday lab day. The air smelled sharply of ethanol. "You sure you know what you're doing, Miss Harris?" Dylan called out, leaning against the counter. "Or is this just a sad side gig?" Naomi didn't look up from her beaker. "Focus on your own station, Dylan. It's about a boil-over." He glanced down. A plume of steam rose from his equipment. His face flushed as his friend snickered. The public humiliation stung. The room fell silent. "Don't you talk to me like that," he said, his voice low and dangerous. Naomi finally met his gaze. In this classroom, only two things hold authority: science and respect. The silence was absolute. Dylan's pride shattered in front of his audience. He stepped forward, his voice rising to a shout. "What if I don't sit down? What are you going to do about it?" Naomi's voice dropped to a soft, terrifying whisper. "Then you'll learn something today. One way or another." Blinded by rage, he lunged. His hand clamped around her throat, slamming her into the hard edge of the lab counter. Gasps echoed. The world froze. But Naomi's eyes didn't change. Years of buried training ignited in one fluid motion. Her hand snapped up, locking onto his wrist like a vice. Her other hand struck his elbow with surgical precision. A sharp gasp of pain escaped him. She twisted, pivoted, and drove him face first onto the counter, his arm locked helplessly behind his back. The classroom was a statue garden of shock. She leaned close, her voice a deadly calm. "You do not ever put your hands on someone like that. Not me. Not anyone." He thrashed, terrified, until his fight bled out into tearful breaths. "Apologize," she said, her voice firm. "I'm sorry," he choked out. She released him, stepped back, and smoothed her sleeve as if nothing had happened. Classes dismissed. The next day, the school was electric with rumor. She broke his arm. She was a spy. Dylan's father stormed in, demanding her job. But Naomi had already handed the security footage to the principal. The truth was undeniable. Dylan had attacked first. Teachers finally spoke up. Students shared their stories. For the first time, consequences found Dylan Ross. Naomi kept her job. Alone in the empty lab that evening, she exhaled slowly. She hadn't wanted to fight, but sometimes respect has to fight back. As she erased the board, she whispered the old mantra: strength isn't about power. It's about control. Outside, a student passed by and murmured his friend. "That's her. Miss Harris, she's a legend." The legend of Miss Harris did not fade. It solidified. In the weeks that followed, a subtle but powerful shift occurred at Westbrook High. The air itself felt different, lighter, easier to breathe for those who had once walked with their heads down. Whispers still followed Naomi, but they were now tinged with awe, not suspicion. Dylan Ross returned to school after his suspension. The boy who had once held court in the hallways now moved through them like a ghost. The arrogant swagger was gone, replaced by a subdued posture. He was quieter, his eyes often distant, as if he were constantly replaying those 3 seconds on a loop in his mind. He didn't meet Naomi's gaze in the hallway, but he no longer challenged her. He had learned the weight of a consequence that his father's money couldn't lift. But the story was far from over. One afternoon, as Naomi was packing her bag, a timid knock echoed in her empty classroom. In the doorway stood Liam, a quiet boy from her third period class who always sat in the back, his shoulders perpetually hunched as if trying to make himself smaller. "Miss Harris," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Can I talk to you?" "Of course, Liam," she said, gesturing to a chair. "What's on your mind?" He didn't sit. He just stood there, fidgeting with the strap of his backpack. "It's about before. With Dylan." He took a shaky breath. He used to take my lunch money. Every day, he'd shove me into lockers. No one ever did anything. Naomi felt a familiar, cold anger stir, but she kept her expression neutral and calm. "I see. But he hasn't," Liam continued, finally looking up. There was a new light in his eyes, a fragile hope. "Not since, I wanted to say thank you for what you did." In that moment, Naomi understood the true impact of her actions. It wasn't just about one bully. It was about every student who saw her stand her ground and found the courage to stand a little taller themselves. The true test, however, came from an unexpected direction. The principal, Mr. Davies, called her into his office. He looked weary, a man caught between his duty and the district's politics. "Naomi, the school board is concerned," he began, steepling his fingers. "The Ross family is applying pressure. They're calling it excessive force and threatening a lawsuit. They're demanding a public apology from you." Naomi's spine straightened almost imperceptibly. "I will not apologize for defending myself against a physical assault, Mr. Davies. The footage is clear." I know, he sighed. "But this isn't just about the facts. It's about perception." The following day, a school board meeting was convened. The room was packed, buzzing with tension. Mr. Ross sat in the front row, his jaw set, radiating entitled fury. Naomi sat calmly on the other side. Then, something remarkable happened. One by one, students stood up. Liam was the first. His voice trembled, but it was clear. "Dylan bullied me for a year. No one helped me until Miss Harris showed us we don't have to be afraid." A girl named Chloe stood next. She didn't hurt Dylan. She stopped him. There's a difference. Then a football player, one of Dylan's former sycophants, stood. "He had it coming, sir. We all saw it. She was fair." It was a tidal wave of truth. The board members listened, their stern expressions softening. Mr. Ross's confident glare began to falter in the face of this united front. In the end, the board not only dismissed the Ross family's complaint, but also instituted a new, stricter anti-bullying policy, one that was later dubbed the Harris Protocol. The final chapter of the story unfolded on the last day of school. Naomi was in her lab, cleaning out cupboards, ready for the peace of summer. She heard a presence in the doorway and turned. It was Dylan. He didn't look like a prince or a ghost anymore. He just looked like a 17-year-old boy, awkward and uncertain. "Miss Harris," he said. She nodded, waiting. He shuffled his feet, struggling to find the words. I got into a summer program. For chemistry." He paused, then forced himself to continue. "What you said about respect. I think I get it now. Not the way I thought I did." He didn't apologize again. He didn't need to. The change in him, the effort to speak to her, was a more powerful apology than any words. Naomi simply gave a slow, single nod. "I'm glad to hear it, Dylan. I wish you well in the program." He nodded back, a look of profound relief on his face, and then he left. As Naomi turned off the lights and locked the lab door for the summer, she felt a sense of closure she hadn't felt in years. She had come to Westbrook for peace, and she had found it. Not by avoiding a fight, but by winning the one that mattered. She had rebuilt a life, not on the ashes of her past, but on the foundation of the respect she had fought for and earned. The legend would live on in the halls of Westbrook High. But for Naomi Harris, it was just the beginning of a new, quieter, and stronger chapter.